Thanks for watching Coral Gables Television. Today on Coral Gables Now, the Strategic Initiatives Team is a new concept at the Coral Gables Police Department. We'll tell you more about their mission. When every second counts, the fire department has a new dispatch system to get to you even faster. Plus, tour some of the best designed kitchens in Coral Gables and get some ideas for your own home. And the art and fashion of Cuba's yesteryears is alive and well right here in the City Beautiful. Coral Gables Now starts right now. Welcome to Coral Gables Now. I'm Belkis Perez. There have been a few changes at the police department that we felt were important for you to know about. Among those changes is the creation of a strategic initiatives team. Joining us today is Lieutenant Ed Clotton from the Coral Gables Police Department. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lieutenant. So what's the mission of the strategic initiatives team?
So it's a very exciting venture, and its mission is twofold. We have a main focus of the team is to proactively attack crime. In that regard, we have a team that's dedicated solely to conducting surveillances, going after known offenders, trying to catch them as they get out of prison, as they're committing another act, or coming out of jail, or going to commit another crime here in the city. We want to catch them before it actually occurs. So we have a lot of surveillance activity going on. We track known offenders. We also conduct proactive policing and surveillance activity within the city, within areas that are being targeted. And the other component of the team is a problem-solving component. And in that regard, we have some officers who are dedicated to addressing ongoing problems in the city, things such as graffiti or panhandling, ongoing security problems. We work very closely with the Public Information Office to address security issues at be it at a business, maybe even sometimes a residence. So it's a twofold team with the overall mission of being very proactive and working to prevent crime in the city and improve quality of life.
And that's exactly what it sounds as. It sounds like if it's a very proactive team, not necessarily reactive, and that's great now in this holiday season as well. So this is a new team, recently formed. How did it emerge? We
saw a need to put a proactive team together that was solely responsible for going after crime, and that's what these guys do. This is a team that is not responsible for handling calls for service. So we've been able to allow our on-duty uniform patrol officers solely handle...
So just focus on that.
Yeah, calls for assistance, traffic accidents, and the routine calls that come in. This team doesn't handle those calls. All they do is go after crime. They don't respond to dispatch calls for service. So this group came up with this idea. Unfortunately, with the administration we have in place today and some restructuring that we did in patrol, we were able to make it happen.
Yeah. And so right now the team is 15? There are 15 people now?
12 officers, 2 supervisors, and myself.
Okay. So these are members that are now focused just on this, so then the other, as you said, the other officers can really just focus on patrolling.
Yes.
Tell me about, there's something else that has happened, and that's the change in patrol schedules. It used to be a shift of 4 10-hour shifts, 4 days,
yes.
10 hours
yes.
a day, and now it's 5 days, 8 hours.
Correct.
What's the difference?
The public is not really going to feel a difference because we really have the same amount of personnel deployed.
Okay.
The difference is huge for us internally speaking. That change occurred in order to allow us to create this strategic initiatives team. So the change to the 5-day, 8-hour schedule allowed us to have a more consistent schedule internally speaking. It's a better utilization of on-duty resources. So we have people working around the clock on 8-hour shifts, and by structure, that schedule allowed us to take these 15 people that were already in place in the department and reallocate them to this team. And that was really the main impetus behind that change.
So is there a benefit to this zone patrolling now that's in place as well? Also with this change of shifts, there's also been a change in zoning patrol. Can you explain that to us?
Sure. Years ago, we had the zone patrol strategy in place where we had 12 zones throughout the city, and one officer was assigned to each zone. Several years ago, we changed to an area policing strategy. Again, these are different strategies that come and go in law enforcement. The profession has different approaches to policing, through studies that are conducted by different organizations, the National Association of Chiefs of Police and the likes thereof, come up with different strategies for the profession. And that area patrol strategy was really part of a hotspot policing strategy where we take existing on-duty resources and geographically place them where crime trends are occurring. We found out that we would like to continue the zone patrol strategy where we keep an officer in every zone as part of a community policing strategy and combine that with the strategic initiatives team so that really we have the best of both worlds. So now we have an officer in every single neighborhood, divided amongst 12 zones throughout the city. They're there full-time around the clock. There's going to always be somebody in their neighborhood. And we've gone back to that strategy and combined it with this strategic team, initiatives team. And we use them to conduct the hotspot policing activity. So we're deploying that team now where the crime trends are occurring.
So those officers that are now more involved in their specific area have a better sense of what's going on and can then engage the strategic team to help out. Absolutely,
and really that partnership we've sort of come full circle with. We have a zone patrol officer assigned, we have a SIT officer also assigned to each zone as a liaison, and we have detectives are assigned zones. And those three components working together sort of have closed that intelligence circle for us, an operational circle, so we think it's going to be very efficient.
All right, thank you, Lieutenant, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll be right back with more of Coral Gables Now. Stay tuned.
To the list of places you might find sexual predators, add this one. Last year, 1 in 5 children was sexually solicited online. To learn what you can do to protect your kids' online life, visit cybertipline.com. Help delete online predators.
Welcome back. In an emergency, every second counts. And with that in mind, the fire department has made improvements to its emergency communication system to make it easier and faster to respond to calls for help. Now, joining us to talk about it is the new Fire Chief, Mark Stolzenberg. Thank you so much for having us, for being here. So specifically, we're talking about a system that's called the Fire Station Alerting System, but you go by another name as well.
Yeah, we go by the name Locution, which is the brand name. It's kind of a...
Much faster to say, too.
Yes.
But this is a system that we now have and we've implemented. What does it do?
The Locution system, what it does is it aids our current dispatching system. So basically it's a computerized voice system that identifies the vehicles that are going to respond appropriately to the type of call. It announces the system, it announces the address, it announces the incident, and the vehicles that are supposed to respond to the emergency.
How was this handled before then, before the system?
Prior to Locution, what would happen is a 911 call would come in, a call taker would receive the call, get the appropriate information, and that still continues. And at some point, they would send it over to the dispatching side where there was another dispatcher who would then attach the vehicles to the type of call and actually make a verbal announcement or a paging system over the radio and over the station paging alert system to notify the trucks to go. The difference is now the call taker still takes the call and routes it to the Locution system who identifies the appropriate vehicles, and instead of the dispatcher having to actually make the dispatch, all they would do is then accept what the Locution system recommended, and then an automated voice would take it over at that point.
So Chief, okay, so basically, because it sounds to me like when the operator was doing this, or the person who was in charge of dispatching, how would they determine what vehicles were sent to the scene?
That's done through basically our protocols. We have a list of incident types that are all coded out, And in those incidents, like a house fire, we would send various trucks to a house fire. A medical alert, we would send various trucks to that medical alert.
And they would see if they were even, on
see
service,
if they were
right?
available,
If
right?
they were
If they're not on another call, and then figuring it out which one you want to send. And the automated system figures that out automatically,
Right.
and it
So you
speeds
save
it up.
time, right?
And that's the whole thing with response time. We're trying to get our units to the incident address as quickly as possible. And this is just one aspect of it. So the goal here is to speed up the call processing time and then the dispatching time and the travel time.
So this system is cost about $300,000, but 90% of it came from a grant?
Yes, we were fortunate to apply for a FEMA Firefighters Assistance grant, which was a 90% grant with a 10% match. So it was we were very fortunate to receive that.
Very significant.
Yes.
And so and when you applied to the grant, you said this is what you want to use it for?
Specifically, right.
Specifically, okay. Tell me about the special features of this system. And we've got some unique challenges here in the city, and how this new system addresses those.
Well, one of the first things that attracted us to the system was the names of the streets here in Coral Gables. You can ask 5 people to pronounce them, and you might get 5 different pronunciations. So the first thing that it does is it announces all the names of the street with the same voice, and it's actually a human voice, which is very unique because most of these systems, the automated systems, do not use a human voice, and it's very choppy.
Okay.
So our system is a human voice that is alerting, calming, and people can recognize it every time. So there's no difference.
Like a neutral,
right.
Neutral voice. Okay. And so do you think that's one of the most significant aspects of it? I mean, it seems so, because it's true what you're saying. I mean, we've got different streets. They're all Spanish. Some are Spanish. Right. So it would make sense that you would need a neutral. Was that a challenge before?
Yes, there's many times where the dispatchers will go out and you hear the trucks and the personnel in the spot, can you please repeat the address? Can you say that, or give me the spelling? Some names are very similar. And that still may happen, but at least over time you're going to learn that voice, and you don't have to worry about or think that there may be a different voice tomorrow than there is today.
Okay. And are there any other agencies that have this in our area?
This particular system is unique to South Florida. There's no other agencies right now that we're aware of that are using it. There are some other agencies up in Palm Beach County, I believe, is using it, and they had the similar success that we're anticipating having as well.
All right. Well, congratulations. We're looking forward to seeing those stats. We'll bring you on when you've got more information on your response times. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll be right back with more of Coral Gables Now. Stay tuned.
Take a pop quiz with me. In what film did I feel a need for speed? What was my call sign? Who did I sit behind in the F-14? Oh, and one more question. Who does your kid sit behind in homeroom?
Know what really matters. Know about your kid's school, and know about your kid. Find out 100 ways to know more, do more.
Welcome back. After all that baking and cooking for the holidays, it might be a good idea to give your kitchen a facelift. And if you're looking for ideas, make sure to visit the annual Tour of Kitchens. Tanya Leeds has that story and others on City News. Tanya?
It's that time of year when we get a chance to look inside some grand Coral Gables homes and take a tour of their kitchens. Mark your calendars, the 5th annual Tour of Kitchens takes place on Saturday, January 25th. 6 to 8 houses will be showcased this year, and there will be appliance demonstrations, ideas for table settings, and kitchen renovations. These homes will also offer tastings from various local restaurants. The Tour of Kitchens is a fundraising event for the Coral Gables Community Foundation, and some proceeds will benefit the Culinary Arts Program at Coral Gables Senior High. For more information, visit www.coralgablestourofkitchens.com. In other news, the Merrick House is looking for volunteers to serve as docents for the historic boyhood home of city founder George Merrick. Those who are interested and can devote 1 or 2 afternoons per month will learn all about the home's history and will conduct public tours each Wednesday and Sunday afternoon. The Merrick House, located at 907 Coral Way, is a beautiful example of regional architecture, and it exists today much as it did in the 1920s. If you would like more information, contact the city's Historical Resources Department at 305-460-5093. We are well into the holiday season, but if you're not filled with holiday spirit yet, come on over to the city's Winter Wonderland. Merrick Park, across the street from City Hall, has been transformed into the North Pole. Kids can enjoy a fun and festive playground and even catch a glimpse of Santa Claus when he stops by the park to take pictures and pick up everyone's wish list. Santa is available on Thursdays and Fridays from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. and Saturdays and Sundays from noon to 10 p.m. The last day to catch Santa here will be December 23rd. That's all I have for City News. Back to you, Belkis.
All right, thanks, Tanya. And staying with the holiday theme, did you know that this is the busiest season for Actors Playhouse? And it's all thanks to one little girl called Madeline. Rodolfo Roman explains.
A Coral Gables holiday tradition will be playing at the Actors Playhouse Musical Theater for young audiences. The favorite child play of Madeline's Christmas will be playing at the Actors Playhouse through December 22nd. The story is about Madeline, who is a young little girl in Europe. Director Earl Malding says the play is extremely popular with both children and adults.
It's based on a book series, so that helps us tie it in with the teachers and the schools. Very important as an organization that's trying to educate young people about theater. And then just the story is really charming. It's about a precocious young girl, Madeline, who gets in trouble a little bit because she has maybe a little too much energy and is a little bit of a risk taker. But in this story, she sacrifices of herself to take care of everyone else and help them to get better. So it's a nice little coming of age kind of idea.
The play has two casts, the green and red cast.
I'm very lucky, two extremely talented casts of young ladies. Now, all of my adults, there's 6 adults involved in the show, and they come every day. But then the girls split 10 and 10, so 2 sets of girls, and we call them the red cast and the green cast.
Sophia Rubio plays in the green cast. She was excited to star in her first big role.
So happy, and it makes me feel happy, and I just wanted to do my best.
The play gives the crowd a sense of being in France as all the characters speak with a French accent. And what can spectators expect?
I know that young people that come to watch performances, they still think in pictures a lot. Okay, bigger, smaller, faster, slower, dark, bright. So we make the shows extremely visual for the younger audience members, but then the script is very intelligent. There's a lot of great ideas.
For more information, visit www.actorsplayhouse.org. For Coral Gables Now, Rodolfo Roman.
All right, thank you, Rodolfo. Still to come, we all have special keepsakes we treasure, but how much are they really worth? Some Coral Gables residents found out when the Antique Roadshow pulled into town. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The art and culture of Cuba from the 1950s came alive through the colorful fabrics and textures of a recent fashion exhibition. Tanya Leitz has that story.
Tonight we are being transported back to 1950s in Havana, Cuba, a decade that is known for its celebrations, its culture, and of course, some Latin music. Turrón de maní, boniatillo, ajonjolí were some of the Cuban delicacies at Fashion for Charities, a night in Havana. Hundreds were present to embrace their Cuban roots, dressed up in their guayaberas and other traditional garments such as fedoras at the Coral Gables Museum. Unique to this event was an exhibition of art and fashion, joining forces towards charity efforts.
We've expanded into doing workshops for the community in regards to interview etiquette and how to dress and style for interviews. And now we're trying to create a fund for children who are interested in going to the arts or the fashion world.
This is the first fundraiser event the foundation has created to provide students scholarships to pursue these careers. Guests had the opportunity to see the works of Cuban descent locals who also have their businesses